Hello, hello. There you go. There you go. Sorry about that. Came in all whack this morning. Okay, I'll start over. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast. We discuss news and politics. We're live on YouTube and Twitch. You can find me looking for Likely Aliens. Shows called Justice's Waiting Room. Hi to my wife. Also, Marjorie Taylor Greene said the entire reason that you have not seen the Epstein files is because Donald Trump is using the power of the presidency to withhold their release. And also, in the same weekend, it was like a double dose of good shit. AOC said she's the enemy of the Democratic Party and that she's been told that by Democrats. And if that doesn't motivate the shit out of me to create the American Socialist Party, that isn't whatever that is, right? Divisive within my own party? Um, no, 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 no. Mm-mm. We're united in that we cannot continue to do this fuck shit. Mm-mm. Can't continue to do that. We all need universal health care. Universal education. I'm pro universal income. I think everybody ought to get a couple $1,000s a week or a month. Sorry, $1,000 a week is a little too much. Y'all would be doing a little too much blow. Okay, but you need a couple $1,000s a month from the gov rather than all this other shit we're doing. And they ought to cap how much you pay out a month for rent and your mortgage. I talk to way too many people that are spending like half or more of their monthly income on their abode, and that's a big fucking no-no. As someone that's been a homeowner for about the last decade, the only way you get there is to push the cost of the mortgage to like 30% or a quarter of what you make. And I know in a time of great inflation and rising housing costs, that doesn't make sense now. But I see people all the time buying a house and they're paying thousands of dollars, $3,000+ a month for a mortgage. And then I ask them, well, how much you make in a month? And they're not making 10, 12, $15,000 a month. They're making five, six. And then we all know that you got costs to live in the place, right? You got to keep the fucking lights on and shit. That's hundreds of dollars a month. You got to feed yourself. That's hundreds of dollars a month. Have a mode of transportation. And anyway, we're going to keep doing it anyway until we're all dead. And that's stupid. And I think that we could just do it differently. I think that we could get business out of politics. And I think we could use our fucking tax dollars to help us instead of Russia and Israel, Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu specifically, who I'm guessing are also in the Trump files. And by the way, I think we should call them the Trump files. He's in them like a million times. If I wrote a book about you and your name was in it, we would call it the Your Book, Your Name Book, right? The Angie files. You get what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't be like it's almost like who the fuck is Epstein but the accountant, the finance guy. Like we're talking about the guy that works in finance. Me. You know what I mean? We're not talking about the actual orchestrator of the. Anyway, listen to Edwin Starr's War and realize that we're not in a war. Despite the fact that some of the people that live in the United States that voted for this madness also have no problem warring against other Americans? What the fuck is wrong with you? Since the fuck when do we take to the streets trying to kill each other? This ain't the purge, bitch. Like what? So as war plays, and I share that we're live, take some solace in that. We're not in war. They want to be real bad. Wow. You're not at war with your fucking neighbor. Canada, Mexico. But no, you're really not. You're not like, you know what's bananas? We we recently had a really cold spell. And we got a foot of snow. Wow. Because I can tell you right now, if I was an elected official and somebody told me that I was an enemy of the party that I was in, you'd catch these fucking hands. What? Think about who AOC is. Enemy? Oh, war. That's what I'm saying. I'd be real mad. I'd be getting you out of the fuck out of politics yesterday. Just remember, Democrats are capitalists, and that's why I'm not one. Democrats are for keeping the status quo. Democrats are for holding up progress and small incremental movements. Otherwise, it becomes unstable. And I would just say we've never been in a more unstable period. And that I think that hesitancy, that unwillingness to make great change is what will destroy us all if we don't go in a different direction. And, you know, recently I watched a video, George Carlin, looking pretty old, saying, like, hey, America, you got to get off your fucking knees and abandon this fucking two-party system. There's a reason that in a lot of other developed countries that don't have nearly this level of corruption, they have a fucking parliament. They have 4 or 5 big political parties with big ideals. And yes, sometimes you get a political party that's full of stupid ideas, and hopefully they don't get in fucking power. As for me, all I really ever ask you to do, because I don't want you on Twitter, I don't want you on Facebook, if you will, like, comment, share there on Blue Sky, let people know we're live, right? Warren Gupta. Yeah, I want to make sure I made a piece of content and I started my show talking about it. Listen to the women. When elected women tell you exactly what the fuck is going on, you just believe that. The entire reason you haven't seen the Trump files is because Donald J. Trump is using the office of president to withhold those files from the public. And so if their message to us is, oh, you don't want all that accountability, it'll collapse the government, then your government is not worth holding up. If we can't tell you who all the pedos are because it will disrupt the flow of government, fuck the government. What are we even talking about? Great. DW.com reporting Iran, despite their currency collapsing, despite their 3 largest major cities being basically unlivable. Oh, Iran's Revolutionary Guard launched Strait of Hormuz drills, so their military's still kicking. I wonder if they're getting fed or paid. Some of that shit is weird. I'd never figured this out, right? DHS funding's in the toilet, right? ICE gonna get defunded. Can you imagine showing up to work with the same level of give a fuck, unpaid? No. Guess what? I've never done in my entire life, and I'll never do that in my entire. I'm not working for free. Sorry. Now I did coach high school football and that was basically free. I made them fucking pay me. Like, no, no, no. Pay me. Thank you. Because I gave up a job to take this job. Okay? But don't do anything for free. Not for a company. Company wants you to come in and babysit a fucking luncheon? No. You can pay me. I'll clock in. What the fuck? My boss, the management at my job do that shit all the time. Hey, we got a meeting. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go into meeting status, right? And they're like, yeah, I guess. Macron in India joins race for global allies. So all these other countries' leadership are going around to every other country and shaking fucking hands and kissing babies saying we're good, right? But I think the way this shit is shaping up, it deadass looks like the Browns versus the Whites in the end. Look at all these European countries, the EU and NATO, all them like reinforcing their shit. All these African countries and Asian countries fucking reinforcing their shit. And you're just like, whoa, that looks like brown people versus white people. What the fuck? Kiev drones, you read that. Ukrainian war drones hit Black Sea ports ahead of crucial US backed peace talks. And if I'm Ukraine, I'm going to continue to attack infrastructure, ports, uh, power stations, substations, and shit. Yeah. Because I want to deter what is going on. The Ukrainian military evacuates a family with pets in Kupiansk. The soldiers of the 41st Mechanized Brigade evacuated 4 people, including a child, 2 cats, and a dog from Kupiansk. Hey. We'll take those stories too. Euro made in press reporting. Ukraine says they have confident control over Kupiansk. And if you look, they have, you know, 22 enemy radios detected in that little area in Kupiansk, and you can see it on the map. They basically have it encircled. They've got them surrounded. All right. Rubio and Orban. Rubio plugs Viktor Orban's bid for another term, meddling in politics internationally. After April elections during a visit to Budapest. By the way, Viktor Orban is trying to serve a 5th straight term. Mm-hmm. He is a Donald Trump bootlicker, and I'm guessing he's also in the fucking Trump files. He is like a big Donald Trump fan. You know what is going to be crazy? A bunch of rich, old, white, pedophilic, racist old men are going to cry on camera when that man dies. And it's going to be the dumbest shit you've ever seen in your life. And that's because accountability is coming for you. Estonia would take war onto Russian territory if Moscow invades, their foreign minister says. So Estonia says, attack us, we invade you. Get fucked. And this is what you need. You need whole ass other countries saying like we're gonna take the war to you should you invade us instead of just Indonesia sending 1,000 people to Gaza as part of a peacekeeping force. I smell an international incident because another country is sending 8,000. One of the things that I learned as a veteran, as somebody that was on active duty in the Marine Corps infantry, the IDF is not our fucking friends. Those motherfuckers are crazy. When I was on active duty, I served with people that trained with the IDF, and do you know what they told me? You retain nothing of what they teach you, because you'll never do any of that shit, because it's against fucking the Geneva Convention and international law. They could shoot, they could fight. Lots of the things that they did were outside the rules of engagement. So we learn nothing. And generally, you don't respect people you don't learn from. Like in the long run. Like when you walk away from having spent hours of your day doing something and you go, and I can actually retain none of that because I'm not trying to fucking die in the brig. Was it good? Nope. Now, don't get it twisted. One of the things I want to make sure that isn't completely fucking demoralizing. There are absolutely people that serve in the U.S. Army, in the Marine Corps, I'm guessing, that are empathetic towards that and get off on that shit, but they are so few and far between that, well, those guys end up in the psych ward, in grippy socks, trying to fix their brain. Okay? Japan is nixing advanced deportation orders to lawyers of foreigners. They have ended the practice of notifying lawyers representing foreign nationals in principle 2 months before deportation. So this is the reason that ICE exists in the United States. Israel is a dangerous weapon nurtured by America. It's true. The problem is that Israel was created in 1948 by David Ben-Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency, with Nazi principles in mind. Nationalist and Zionist. Remember that I told you, if they were nationalist socialist, NASO, N-A-S-O, given the term Nazi. Nationalist, N-A, Zionist, Z-I, is exactly why Israel was founded. They were founded under those principles to mimic the United States in her imperialist and expansionist ways. And one of the things that it is important to understand about our history is that 100% this is how we have acted in the past. We have raped and pillaged and lied and stabbed motherfuckers in the back and went back on contracts we signed. We did that. We did that. How do you think we got Mexico? Or California. You can call it California. It's Mexico. How do you think we got that? We signed a fucking agreement and we stabbed them in the back. Just know that we don't have to do that. We do not have to be like this. You could say that that was us and we changed our fucking ways. It's that simple. It does not have to be like this. There can be actual adults in the room that have some emotional intelligence, because it's clear to me that the vast fucking majority of elected officials do not. They only have their pocketbook in mind. XGRU, read like Russian intelligence. European companies keep the motor of Russia's war machine running. An address linked to a Russian intelligence agent. And let me back up. Russian intelligence agent in Berlin exposed a Russian business group that imports European chemicals potentially used in Russia's gunpowder production. Goop, that's horrible. Hey, Val. Morning, everybody. There's a good dozen of you in here. Make sure you say hi, wave, let everybody know what you're doing, if you can, if you will. Major upgrades see ship killer, hypersonic ship killer missiles aboard China's AIP submarines. China's large fleet of air-independent propulsion submarines set to become significantly more lethal. Part of the reason to play Edwin Starr's War every day is because if you are looking at what is going on internationally, you are largely talking about it's the beginning of the year, and many countries all over the world are focusing on spending money on defense in case they were to get invaded. The Kremlin rejects the European accusation it poisoned Navalny with a dart frog toxin, and we know it's true. We know it's true. Russia, hey Zeke, they don't give a fuck. They'll do whatever the fuck they want. Ukrainian civilian casualties surged by 26% in 2025. And this is because of Russia's increased targeting of civilians and civilian infrastructure. This is called fighting a failed war and choosing to demoralize instead. So keep in mind, the entire purpose of targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure is an attempt to demoralize a defending force. Benjamin Netanyahu wants to make sure that his neighbor doesn't have nukes so that Israel can invade Iran eventually and take their land. I want to make sure that we point out that Iran's going out of a way to make their land not livable by the way they use their land. Remember, what is important about Iran, okay? 70% of Iran's population was living in 3 large cities, and those cities are out of water and their air is nearly unbreathable, so they're going to have to migrate south to an undeveloped part of Iran. So if you can imagine going from the modern age to the fucking Stone Age. It'll be years before they have electricity, like consistent electricity. You want to talk about like a business or some way to like get stuff. No deliveries. There's not roads where they're going. It's undeveloped. And one of the things that I have to keep in mind, and again, I'm not pro-nuclear weapon. This is just real life. Okay. One of the things I've learned is that a lot of countries have nuclear weapons, so the U.S. doesn't invade them. And they figure, hey, if we have nukes, at least we're not going to get invaded. And the U.S. wants countries that want nukes to not have them. It's a fucked up thing. North Korea has opened a housing district for families of its soldiers killed in the Russian-Ukraine war. And don't you think that's about the least that they could do? Imagine ever championing for North Korea, right? North Korea sent tens of thousands of their troops to Russia, and they were all sent untrained to the front line. Yeah, well, Gupta, you want to be even more technical? If Venezuela weren't allies with Russia and didn't have Russian air defense, that air defense would have been on when the US invaded, and it would have been a little more difficult than to fly in with multiple fucking aircraft and a fucking drone overhead and just walk in, blow some people's brains out, and kidnap the fucking president of a foreign country unharmed. The only way you do that is if with a complete failure of your air defense security. You got any special forces that can figure out if some shit's going on? One of the things that I want to make sure that we point out, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said he didn't trust his military anymore, and that there were a bunch of Cuban troops there that died too. He had enlisted those Cuban troops to investigate his own military. So think about, you want to get your mind blown? Think about that kidnapping and how it was a rescue. Nicolas Maduro is a fucking dictator, and that's treason. He helped him get out of a sticky situation. That's what I think happened. He looked like he was happy to be here. He's happy to sit in a jail. Because otherwise, I'm pretty sure he was getting cooed. And the thing about it is that Venezuela is not our ally, and they don't really have anything that we want from them. Mm-hmm. So, what would you say you did there, Don? Treason. Just throwing this out there. Jared, why aren't you more pro train? Why don't you talk about that shit all the time? Because, first of all, there's fucking train derailment all the fucking time. Also, here, a bunch of people got injured in Switzerland when an avalanche derailed a Swiss train. Yeah, we can go back, Gupta, and say if Venezuela had a functional military, we wouldn't have invaded. And I wouldn't really say we invaded. We did some weird shit with your president, took him back to our place. I don't know. I don't know what that is. It doesn't even look like it was against his will. You know what I'm saying? It looks like a rescue mission to me. He had 4 outfit changes. Have you ever been kidnapped? I've never been kidnapped, but I've never been kidnapped. And also, they were like, "You want to bring a change of clothes, or we're gonna do a couple photo shoots, or put you in handcuffs in the front, handcuffs in the back, no handcuffs, glasses on. You want to do all those poses?" See, no, I don't really think. Hmm. But yeah, people say, why do you talk about airplanes a lot and not trains? Because we fucking report on trains derailing all the time. Let's go to the moon. French MP Eric Bethorel, sanctioned by the U.S. Ooh. And this is not in English. It's tough. Customize appearance. How about in fucking English? Anyway, here's Huffington Post. Sanctioned by the U.S. I'm sure we'll find the yeah, that's what it really is. Doing some weird shit for your president. Ukraine slams UNESCO for hosting Russian-funded Mendeleev Prize during a war. $250,000 prize awarded twice so far, each time to a Russian scientist from UNESCO. Ukraine's calling for a boycott, saying Russia destroyed hundreds of thousands of research facilities. What the fuck do you mean? And I agree. Shouldn't be getting. Warner Brothers, per Bloomberg, could be selling to Paramount, and this just, if I understand this correctly, this puts even more media under control of the Ellisons, the Oracle founders. Shut the fuck up. The Sky.com reporting the family of the Iranian protester forced to pay for the bullet that killed their son. Demonstrations against the region in Lahijan. That is not how you pronounce that. Lahijan? Fatally shot by the government. BBC News reporting the police framed a man for murder. This reminds me. Oh, we gotta wait like 12 minutes to really go ham. I'm gonna put a pin in this. Come back later. The craziest thing is, I have a feeling that the way this is being handled is in the interest of public safety. Many people are not going to believe me, but the way it's going now, the least people are dying. Put your fucking thinking cap on real quick before you get mad at me. If Kamala Harris wins and a bunch of those people don't get their fucking way and they're still rich, the stock market's still great, they finance a fucking war. They put fucking tanks and fighter jets in your streets. Now they're in power. And they gotta play by rules. And I know it don't feel like it. I know it don't feel like it. I know everybody in this motherfucker wakes up and they're like, this lawless piece of shit every day is just shitting on our Constitution. And the hardcore reality is that while he is shitting on the Constitution, he's doing absolutely nothing. It's all hoodoo. I mean, if you really want to think about it, he stopped the production of the penny, signed the Laken Riley Act. What has he done since? And that was a year ago. What has happened in the last year? The man that Nikhil Gupta faces 40 years in prison over alleged India-backed attempt to kill Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, a U.S.-based activist. It's. I know people are going to see that as a concession, but the thing that you have to understand is that the laws around elections are not the same kinds of laws around every other aspect of polite society. And that they had to change the fucking rules of the elections. Something that people don't understand. There are things about this whole fucking thing that people don't understand. First of all, I think, and I'm just waiting for someone in power to say it, the primary reason that Donald Trump was not punished for January 6th is because he was in power. Let me just say it in plain English, and that way people are like, oh my God, that really did happen. The President of the United States committed a coup against himself. Coup-I? I don't know what to do with my hands. And again, I'm being technical. He was in power for like 2 weeks after that. He was trying to stop the certification of an election. And what is important about that is that that's not how any of that shit works, Don. Then or now. It's really dumb. It's really, really motherfucking dumb. Uh, because he's dumb, okay? Because he's dumb, he tried to commit a coup while he was in power. Yes, sir or ma'am, or they, them. Yes, he was trying to stay in power. But he got the timing all fucked up because he doesn't know what he's doing and he's an idiot. So he lost power. So imagine cooing your fucking self and then you still lose. And then you know what? Joe Biden did a pretty goddamn good job. Here's the fucking problem is that Joe Biden is a grown ass adult in a room full of clearly children that was like, "Hey, everybody ought to get along," and I'm willing to bet you he's not really who you think he is. Dear God, baby Jesus. And I'm willing to bet that was just the cancer and the cancer drugs talking. So it was just him having a fucking lucid moment. Move on. Notice how he hasn't been thrust into the public eye, and you're not hearing Joe Biden stand up there in his fucking 80s and getting rolled out on a fucking wheelchair and forced to stand at a podium, and he's just like, "Y'all, I really just want to play baccarat." You know what I'm saying? Really not trying to do all this. He deserves that. I will say, not trying to like get some shit done. Part of the problem. But also, what Democrats failed to do prior to the 2024 U.S. election is get the fucking point across about what this regime is and what it will do in power. And we talked about it off rip when I started making content. Was I think that we have entered. We are fighting demoralization of our populace, and we are being forced to exile the people that are hardcore Trumpers and just make them feel the weight of their decisions, and hopefully they come around on their own and just realize like, oh my God, I made a terrible decision. Will it happen fast enough? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that was a good gamble or not. Is surname your last name? Mr. Gupta. Two top European commanders warn hard choices needed from the public on arms spending to deter Russia. Meta plans to add facial recognition technology to its smart glasses. Hey, I'm letting you know now, if I'm in public and I see someone that is very clearly using smart glasses, I keep a baseball bat in my trunk. We're about to see if those break too. Um, because it's one thing to just have these glasses on, but now that they can conduct facial recognition, it's a non fucking starter. Japan protests China on reviving militarism. And what we'll do is we look up some words. I think that's one of the reasons that the show's not more popular is because I don't have the ego to say I know everything, and sometimes I'm like, hey, we should look up this word. What does that mean? Oh, fuck. The belief or desire of a government or people that a country should maintain a strong military capability and be prepared to use it aggressively to defend or to promote national interests. Here's the problem that I have with militarism. Okay? Vladimir Putin, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Ayatollah Khamenei, Viktor Orban, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. There are like a handful of white boys that a precision strike would just end all of this yesterday. And what good is your fucking military if you can't put a red dot and execute on one of them motherfuckers? What is the whole point of us being here? What is the point of having a military if you can't use it justly? Amen. So I agree with Japan. Cool it with that fucking militarism shit. Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine's allies deliver energy and military aid within 10 days. We agreed with the leaders of the Berlin format on specific packages of energy and military aid for Ukraine by February 24th. One of the major reasons that Vladimir Putin is alive is because he's so entrenched by Russian oligarchs that, I mean, he really did just imprison his political opponent and then have them killed with a poison dart frog, and then deny it. He got away with it, right? There's a reason that I'm like, how about, you know, how about a cluster bomb? You know what I mean? On his fucking front porch. I'm over it. There's a reason I'll never be president is because I'm not for the continual scowl that we keep giving each other. And it's like, nah, dog, let's fight. Let's get over with. You want to go? Because I can promise you, what the Russian military does not want, the U.S. military involved. It's fucking over for you, doggy. They're malnourished. They're untrained. They're getting their shit rocked by Czechs Notes Ukraine. Also, it's important to point out that while we are suggesting the Russian military is full of fucking bullshit, Ukraine is getting 2/3 of their intelligence from the French Foreign Legion. And one of the things I will say is I know I've got up here and I'm pounding my chest over being a fucking Marine and shit. When I was on active duty in the Marine Corps Infantry, a lot of the guys that I served with were like, really want to go join the French Foreign Legion. And my last name's Malat, and stupid people think that that means that I'm French, and so they're like, you're gonna go join the French Foreign Legion when you get out, right, Malat? And you're like, what? My last name's fucking English, dipshit. No. What? So anyway, at the halfway point, we give up on trying not to say the president's name. Okay. You know what I'm not? I'm not in the Epstein files. Pat yourself on the back. Say it out loud. Rest in peace, Nipsey. I hope, I hope, I hope this is every single high school prom. I hope this becomes your song. I hope, I hope every graduating class in the next several years, when they're asked, "What's your class's song? What's your graduating class's song?" I may try to find you. I am really, really surprised that the Nation of Islam has not found Donald Trump like super shocked that he has not been like kidnapped and tortured by them. Because he's awful. He's an awful person. You deserve absolutely everything you get, and it's coming. It's coming. I can promise. One of the things that I know, the worst things that will happen to Donald Trump will be on the day he dies and after that. He will go out of his way to fuck over everyone he knows so that he never personally has to be held accountable while he's alive. And I'll say it out loud. Karma is a motherfucker, bro. And look how he's being forced to live. His insides don't want to be inside him. He's got a colostomy bag. He's got a fucking catheter in. That man is shitting in a room full of people and having to end a fucking press conference early. He is falling asleep in fucking public. He consistently is wearing fucking shit soiled clothing. There's no part of his life I want. None. Much less like to listen to him. Who are we talking about? Beck said ours was "We May Never Pass This Way Again" by Seals and Croft. Jeez. So just know accountability is coming. CNN reporting the ICE officers are on leave while the feds investigate whether they lied about the shootings and about that Venezuelan man that was shot in Minneapolis. Hey, good morning. This is a daily podcast that discusses news and politics. We've been live for about 50 minutes. We spend most of the first 45 minutes of every 90-minute show that we do every day talking about world news and politics, and we just started talking about U.S. news and politics. All right, first alert 7. A woman and her husband are missing after they fell through the ice walking their dog. This is in Eastham, Mass. I wouldn't say the U.S. is in shambles. Hey, if anything's gonna ruin the AR market, the AI market, it's with other countries launching their own. The open source project steered by Chile's state-run National Center for Artificial Intelligence, CINEA, alongside over 30 regional institutions, seeks to significantly increase the uptake and accessibility of AI across Latin America. Hey, by the way, yesterday I caught wind of hundreds of Wendy's going out of business in the United States. Wendy's is going to close about 5 or 6% of their restaurants across the U.S. As their profits dwindle. Wendy's 90% of their money donated to politics went to Republicans, and they're basically going out of business. One of the fallouts of the Trump files, and again, we're calling them the fucking Trump files because if your name was in a book a million fucking times, we'd call it the Your Name book or the Your Name files. And so these are the fucking Trump files. And in the fucking Trump files, you're going to find the businesses that were heavily linked to Donald Trump. And what makes me fucking ill is what's the name of the company? Apollo Global Management, Leon Black, blah, 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 Life Touch. Life Touch. Life Touch, not for me. We didn't use Life Touch. I can't imagine having fucking kids. Think about this. Imagine having kids and for the most of the time they've been alive, Life Touch has had your kid's name and face and you know, they could see a lot by the clothes that you wear when you get your pictures taken at school and shit. And you know where that information's been going? Donald Trump. Donald Trump. I want to make sure that I point out I worked for a company, uh, Defender Direct, in Indianapolis, Indiana, that sold and installed ADT home security systems that had an ADT contract. ADT was purchased by Apollo Global Management, Leon Black, and the company I worked for went from they would fucking fire people for lying to openly false advertising and committing wire fraud over the phone because of people like Leon Black, friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Hmm? And I got fired for being a whistleblower. Hmm. And keep in mind that was in 2018, and the statute of limitations, I'm pretty sure, is like 10 years. So, and it's violence when you take my way of life, by the way. So I'm just waiting for someone to die. Actually, there's an old man that was one of the original founding members of Defender Direct, who's also on the Equal Opportunity Employment Office board, but he's in his 80s. So when I went to the EEOC before about being fired for being a whistleblower, I got nothing. And that's why. But I'll outlive him too. Pam Bondi's a goddamn liar, and her face and mouth are not getting made fun of enough. Um, she has man hands. Yeah, Stacy, you know what's crazy is I do remember when I was in high school, there were a couple kids that I went to school with, and their parents were insane people. And they were like, I'm not letting my kids get put into some database. I'll give pictures to the journalists so they can create the yearbook. So that's what I did when I was in high school. Is I was part of the journalists that made the yearbook and delivered the news in the morning. So what's hilarious is I sit here and do this daily live podcast. I was doing this shit in high school. My best friend when I was in high school, her name was Samantha. We read the morning news to our classmates every day. Hmm? Anyway, Pam Bondi has man hands. Just want to point that out. She has large, man-like hands. And how come her face isn't getting made fun of too? She has a weird lip thing too. Hey, you know how we sit around and we're like, oh fuck, goddamn measles, right? For the last year is every day like God the fucking measles are in UK. There was like 60 cases in the UK. Can you imagine if the measles hit like India or China? Whew. Anyway, whooping cough cases hit a record high. What the fuck? Whooping cough. I wrote a research paper in school about corruption in America. Yeah. Well, Gupta, I'm trying. I'm doing what I can do to try to uncorrupt this bitch. So I founded the American Socialist Party. I think that before we go to war, all willy-nilly in other countries and try regime changes and shit, that all Americans should have health care, education, income, and housing. We need better people in politics. We need people with ethics and morals and scruples. And the way that you get that is a revival of the union, and everyone needs to learn a trade, join a union, understand that that can be your fallback in the event that shit goes awry. We gotta have plumbers and fucking HVAC techs and sheet metal benders and fucking fabricators. We need them fucking people to help rebuild when shit gets all fucked up. Amen. There's a reason that I'm a syndicalist socialist, and that means that I'm not a fucking bigot. That means I don't care about the color of your skin or who you choose to fuck. I'm not interested in any of that. And I just wish that we'd all just get treated like normal fucking people. And I also think that you ought to join a union. We ought to, before we spend money on war, we ought to have healthcare, education, income, and housing. And then, even then, if everybody has healthcare, education, income, and housing, I'm not so sure warring is on the menu, because I think we ought to have a world socialist party. I think that once you can establish a country's production, like what it makes and the taxes it collects, should be used to support its own people first, making sure they're housed and fed and educated, right? Before you worry about a war. And I'll even go so far as to say it starts when you're a kid. Starts when you're probably like a freshman in high school. You need to know there's a young socialists club where we make sure we understand what the fuck socialism is. Any pro equality movement, social security, unemployment, fucking veterans benefits, you fucking name it. DEI, affirmative action. That's all socialism. Your fire department, socialism. Public education, socialism. There's a reason they're trying to destroy it. Ukraine's ex-energy minister was arrested trying to flee the country. That's interesting. Reuters reporting Israeli airstrikes kill 11 people in Gaza, Palestinians say. Israel says Hamas violated a truce, and I say fuck Israel. Israel created Hamas and is using them as an excuse to commit a genocide. Amen. Israel is not, uh, they're not America. So I am opposed to their imperialist and expansionist ways, including taking over the Gaza Strip. A glove was found near Nancy Guthrie's home that matches one wore by a suspect. So they are going to find who done it. I don't know that they're going to find Nancy Guthrie. Yo, screwworm's rough, dude. China confirms visa-free travel for UK and Canadian nationals. Oh, I've been doing some research. Um, so if you call yourself a communist, you are calling yourself a failed ideology that has never come to fruition. And what makes it even worse is every time that someone has come to power claiming to be a fucking communist, they lied. And so, if you are clinging on to a dead ideology, that every time someone's ever called themselves that and they've rose to power, they have lied about that. Hey, dum dum, you could just be a socialist. At least this idea is modern. And many of the things that I believe in are already happening in the world. So, instead of living in a fucking fantasy that will never goddamn happen, come join the American Socialist Party, the World Socialist Party, the Young Socialist Club, and stop being a dum dum. The Israeli cabinet approves West Bank land registration. Palestinians condemn de facto annexation. I agree. That is not your land. Israel is going to allow powerful and rich people to buy the Gaza Strip and build. People like Leonardo DiCaprio. People like Donald J. Trump and his kids are going to buy and build in the Holy Land on top of people's graves. Can you imagine golfing on top of a cemetery? A war zone? NBC News reporting. The U.S. military has boarded another oil tanker in the Indian Ocean after tracking it from the Caribbean. Oh, you got blood on your hands. If you support the president, you got blood on your hands. And it was a child, Ophelia Torres. You pieces of shit. Died of stage 4 cancer. Dad was taken into custody by ICE. Probably just the stress from having her father fucking. The U.S. military used Anthropic's AI model Cloud in the Venezuela raid. Palantir Technologies. Peter Thiel. Right. Right. You know, I'm gonna speak on this. So I have a niece that's 18 years old, senior in high school, about to go to college. I have never taken a picture with her and posted it on the internet. You know why? Because she's pretty and she's my niece, and I don't want, especially any of the old ass men that I know, to know that I got an 18-year-old niece that's a pretty girl. And I hope she goes away and that she has a great time in college. And I think she's going to an all girls school. I hope she has a great time and that she's protected and safe and stay the fuck away from. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully she doesn't get into AI, right? What? All right, there's a trial going on in the U.S. per The Guardian. Real estate agent brothers Tal Oren and Alon Alexander, known as closers, on trial in New York for fucking sex trafficking. I'm so glad. India. Mr. Gupta said, Jared, have you ever tried Indian food? Yes. My wife and I eat Indian food probably 2, 3 times a month. I was introduced to Indian food when I was 18 years old, freshman at Purdue University. My RA, his name was Viv, and he was from India. And I think within like a week of getting to college, he had me eating, the bread that they layer the inside of an oven with, and he would bring me hot plates of food. A lot of like rice and spicy chicken, curry chicken and bread. And my favorite thing was like watermelon. The watermelon and bread for dessert is fucking great. At least that's what we had, when I was 18, 19 years old. 20, goddamn, 25 years ago. I'm an old man. God, I'm glad I didn't get into real estate. The fucking head honchos in the real estate industry are all sex traffickers and fucking weirdos. What is the I don't pay attention to him, but what's the dude's name? Grant Cardone, right? And then there's these motherfuckers. The Alexander brothers, sex traffickers, fucking ugh, ugh. God, I'm glad I'm not in that industry. Can you imagine? I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I was in real estate. The I paper, the I News reporting Trump's plot to steal the midterm elections is becoming clear. Yeah. Yeah, we actually had BB Bim Bim Bop yesterday, which is like an Indian restaurant. By the way, I think we've been asking ourselves who owns Zorro Ranch. I don't know about you, but since I came into the knowledge that, in addition to Epstein Island, there are other islands. There's Epstein also has a ranch, and you wouldn't believe who's the owner of that ranch. Who owns a place that's probably should be just taken in as state's evidence. Yeah, a Santa Fe, New Mexican revealed that businessman Don Huffines, I don't know who that is, 67 bought Epstein's infamous Zorro Ranch. By the way, a 26,700 square foot hilltop mansion. Thomas Massie has labeled this regime the Epstein administration because all of Donald Trump's cabinet members are in the Trump files. I think we should call them the Trump files. Salon.com reporting Pam Bondi is leaving her Democratic successor a mess. Facts. A rebuild was needed after Watergate. And by the way, if you are asked with a camera in your face, are you loyal to the United States or Israel? And you are an American, and you can't answer that question, take off the badge. Take you should no longer have power. Nope, you clearly need reconditioned. Something's fucking wrong with you. And again, I'll say it, and I'm gonna keep saying it as often as I remember to say it until I fucking die. One of the major reasons that we have all of this fuck shit going on is because the only people that have to take the citizen's oath are fucking immigrants that decide to become citizens and fucking service members. So think about it. If you're white and you weren't in the military, or you didn't immigrate here yourself, when would you have had to take the oath? You didn't. You may have said the Pledge of Allegiance, and some people have forgot. For example, Democrats are not the enemy of America. Like, right? There are some Democrats that vote against the interests of America, of its citizens. Part of Democrats' struggles could be because they're fucking old, because who wants to be involved in politics? Am I right? APAC reps are compromised. They got to be voted out. You got to point them out. Axios reporting Elon Musk declares victory with Medicaid data release. We might all need new social security numbers because of this stupid ass administration. The Daily Beast is reporting Donald Trump sent a love letter to a sex attack victim. Fundraising plea was sent to a woman the president has been ordered to pay millions to. E. Jean Carroll got an email from Donald Trump asking her for financial support. Also, the Daily Beast is reporting the defiant Nobel Peace Prize Institute reacts to Trump's incessant whining. Donald Trump, by the way, constantly fucking whining and crying out about not receiving a Nobel Peace Prize when he's stopped like 8 wars, and he hasn't done that shit. The Hill reporting AOC says unconditional U.S. aid to Israel enabled a genocide in Gaza. Hey, look, here's an elected official in the United States calling a spade a spade. Have a great day, Stacy. Good luck. And America paid Trump's tariffs, not other countries. So all you dum-dums out there that think all those tariffs helped us. Every time you bought a fucking object that was made in a foreign country, you paid more for that this year than you would have last year. And all of that price increase is a tariff. That cost was passed on to you, the American, the purchaser of the good. Remember that I keep telling you, you're the fucking product. They're trying to get you to buy. Homeland Security has reportedly sent out hundreds of subpoenas to identify ICE critics online. My name is Jared Malott. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am the founder of Antifa. You fucking idiots. I'm also anti-ICE. The anti-Trump coalition is emerging, and this is a dangerous moment. Urgent need of a distraction. So keep in mind, Donald Trump urgently needs a distraction. Even the news is saying Donald Trump's going to need a distraction. Members of his own party. There's a reason why it's like bad. Massey said Pam Bondi was afraid to look at the Epstein survivors during their hearing. Also, I need to see the evidence that there are Democrats in the Epstein files. Oh, wow. The former FDA head, David Kessler, warns the human biology was never intended to handle ultra-processed food. Jesus. Think about what is presented to you in terms of the food that you're able to eat. And understand that the former head of the FDA says your body's not even meant to take in ultra-processed shit. I don't know that I'll ever buy a fucking bag of potato chips again. Epstein accusers say Pam Bondi turned her back on survivors everywhere. It does make me fucking sad. These people won't have any fucking friends when this is all over. How could you be friends with any of the people? If you're a Republican right now, especially if you're a woman, how could you be friends with any of these people that enabled this? You're not going to be friends with those Republicans. You're certainly not going to be friends with Democrats. I think what they're all realizing is they're part of a big club from all over the country, and they're all going to end up in a fucking nursing home someday because there's no way their fucking families are going to want to take care of their ass. You're a goddamn um, scar, right? The Guardian reporting the key to defeating Donald J. Trump: mass non cooperation. Our studies in civil resistance offer insight into the level of popular organizing need to repel assaults on democracy. Non cooperation. Did I say violence? Nope. 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 Never. I would call it don't let them steal your fucking joy. Get out there and fucking protest. You cannot wait for your movement to become popular. By the time it's popular, it's too late. For most of human history, ideas have not been popular until the person that came up with them is dead. So, the guidance to plant trees whose shade you'll never sit under fucking stands. There's a reason that we have a great day, bye. There's a reason I sit here every day talking about the news. The reason we talk about forming the American Socialist Party is not because I think it's going to happen when I'm alive. I frequently tell my wife I'm a fucking nobody, but I'm going to die one day. Donald Trump is trying to blow off the Epstein scandal. Other countries are not doing that. And understand, other countries are holding people accountable. And if you think Donald Trump's not going to get held accountable by another country if they find out that he did some shit. Oh, yeah. Hey, my advice to all of the people that I know: you can recover your credit score. You cannot recover all of the money that you're losing every single month when you pay all that money that you pay, especially on unsecured debt. Credit cards, student loans, payday loans, personal loans. Most of the people that I talk to have $10,000 or more in unsecured debt. Most of the people that I talk to are barely able to make their minimum payments. Your credit score is made up of 850 points. Hey, you only get 150 points for on time payments. You can recover that. What you can't recover is that every month when you make all them payments, those minimum payments are like 80% interest. So if you're spending $1,000 on your credit cards every month of the money that you make to keep them cards current, hey, $800, that's interest. Only a couple $100 is hitting principal. It's why your balances don't come down. And all that interest that you pay is being invested into ICE, invested into Palantir, building fucking prisons. My advice to everyone is to stop paying simple interest, get out of debt, save your money. You're going to need it. You never know what it'll be for. You might have to grow a garden, put up solar panels, build defensive positions. I don't know. But paying the people that are effectively holding you captive, because I'm trying to confirm a story that I have been following for a few days that says they're not letting white women leave the country. And I agree with the sentiment. What the fuck do you have planned if they ain't letting white women just fucking leave this bitch? Interest rate on government borrowing is poised to exceed economic growth. They're gonna roll back our credit rating. The Hill reporting Bad Bunny represents the U.S. better than Trump. Hell yeah. You know what was the cutest part about Bad Bunny's performance? Is that I watched a video of him talking about all the references in his performance, about I was giving uh, my Grammy to a young Puerto Rican child. Yes, but I was also giving that to myself as a kid. He talked about the jersey that he wore, about how he had I think it was an uncle that played football at like 64 years old, was still playing football. And you know what's crazy about that? I know people are going to be like, Jared, come on. Uh, I played football as an adult in an adult rec league. I played quarterback, okay, at in my 30s, okay. One of our tight ends who actually hit the piss out of people and was actually a good football 65 years old owns a gym in Bloomington. Now, he broke his fucking leg in a game and he but he was like 65. He came back the next year. So it being like the guy was a little old, still banging around playing football. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Tons of states in the United States have rec football leagues. There are a bunch of older men out there rattling fucking cages. Oh yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene in Newsweek saying Donald Trump's biggest miscalculation was calling the Epstein files a hoax. Yeah, I think listen, I can't really listen to music like I used to. I don't have the attention span for it. It's not that I don't have the love for music. Um, so I haven't like listened to Bad Bunny's catalog, but I am infinitely more likely to because I heard him speak with passion about the halftime show, and I was just like, I'm more intrigued about what you've done here than I would have ever been otherwise. Like now that I know the level of care um, put into that halftime performance, proud as fuck. Okay. Keep in mind, my best friend on earth is a black man from Puerto Rico. A Puerto Rican, no, he's Haitian, sorry. A Haitian American, child of an immigrant. Also, first generation college graduate, homeowner, right? Hundreds of judges have ruled ICE has jailed people illegally 4,400 times. The government has broken the Fourth Amendment at least 4,400 times. DHS is ordering tech giants to unmask anti ICE accounts. Hi, I'm anti ICE. It's the stupidest shit ever. I think that we should not use a secret police to. We should not be using a secret police to rip people from their homes and families and send them to countries they're not actually from. because I don't think that that's deportation. I think that's rending. I think that's exiling someone. And I think it's just unnecessarily cruel and racist because he targeted the smallest demographics in the United States first. Hey, Squint, good morning. I don't know who this Ty Cobb is, but I thought he was a baseball player. Salon reporting top Trump officials should be impeached, including Trump himself. No fucking shit. Nice beard though. Oh, he's a former White House lawyer. Got it. Got it. I'm like, who the fuck is this Ty Cobb wannabe? No, it turns out like Ty Cobb, the former White House lawyer, a little more important to the story than the baseball player. I love when they say athletes turn political. I just want to point this out. If you play a professional sport in the United States, the overwhelming odds are, and I'm going to reiterate what I just said. If you're an American, you play a professional sport in the United States, there's an overwhelming percentage chance that you are a unionized athlete. NFLPA, MLBPA, NBA Players Association. If you didn't already know, in this house, we are professional sports fans. Why? Those are unionized professional athletes. I I may not have been raised like that, but like NFL, NBA, I'll watch. I'll pay to go watch. I'll keep up with. Why? Why? Those people are going to be elected officials. Full stop. They don't become, in my opinion, professional athletes do not become celebrities when they retire. They become business owners. They become writers. They become actors and actresses. They have second lives, right? It's important to point out who you were during this time. People will want to know during this time what were you doing. Sorry for posting shit twice. And we've been here for about 90 minutes. Mr. Gupta. Every day after 90 minutes, we listen to Edwin Starr's War to Stardust. We listen to YG and Nipsey Hussle's FDT to transition from world news to U.S. news and politics. And then we say, hey, morning everybody. Let's listen to a little bit of Eat the Rich by Aerosmith. This is one of the first albums I bought when I was a little kid. I think it was called Aerosmith's Get a Grip. If I remember, it had a cow on the front. So check this shit out. Winter storm warnings in California and Nevada. Love it. Love this climate change, don't you? Oh my God. All right, so the weather is going to get increasingly intense over the course of the day. Here, if you're on YouTube, here you can see what the weather is going to be like in the United States today. And again, that's kind of like what's going on now. Notice all that shit's going to move east as you know, from left to right. That's why we go left to right, right? Right? Correct? Piss some people off. 8 feet of snow and 100-mile-an-hour winds in the Sierra. I don't know what that means. But there is moisture on the west coast, to put it lightly. Rain along the coast, snow in the mountains, moving inland. It's probably better to talk about the states that don't have anything coming. So you need to keep your eyes on the weather. Basically, everything, uh, like the Mississippi River east, is pretty clear. Okay, but basically, once you get west of like Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Memphis, and Louisiana, all bets are off. I'm willing to bet you that's a valid statement most of the year, though. Anyway, but yeah, especially Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. A lot of states we don't give a fuck about. But yeah, Oklahoma, Kansas, New Mexico. Wild ass winter weather for you. And I want to point this out. I want to make sure that we point this out before we go. Despite this winter weather that we've had, I don't know about you, we had a foot of fucking snow and record cold for like 2 weeks. It was like 0 out. We've still had the warmest winter on record. Within 24 hours of it snowing and it being fucking way below freezing, it was like 63 degrees. And I live in Indiana. So I'm going to continue to fucking say this shit. Hey, it's going to be beautiful. Climate change is going to be beautiful until it's not. And it is not. Is not.